Hi there and welcome to Blue Ocean English. My name's Steve and today we're going to start a series of videos about idioms. First, I will explain a little bit about idioms, what they are, why they're important for you to learn to use and how you can learn to use them, and I will show you some examples and show you how you can go outside and practice using these idioms in your world. So what is an idiom? An idiom is basically a strange phrase, and they're very common. We use them a lot. They are phrases that maybe you can understand all of the words in the phrase, but the phrase means something different to the words. There is an extra meaning, an extra sense to the phrase. And often they're very visual. There's an image, there's an animal, there's something that will bring a picture to your mind. And because they do this, they're also very powerful. They have a big meaning. And so you can have an idiom that is maybe 4 words in the phrase, but it says a lot. It has a deep feeling to the phrase. One of the important pieces of advice I can give you about learning to use idioms is don't focus on the words. The words individually are not important. Think of it, if it is 4 words in the phrase, 4 words in the idiom, think of it as one block of vocabulary. So the 4 words, they don't change, they stay the same, and use them almost like they're one word. So think of it as a piece of vocabulary. And don't focus on the meaning of the words. The meaning of the words often doesn't always help you to understand the sense of the phrase, the sense of the idiom. I just want to explain a little bit about why idioms are important for you to learn as someone trying to learn to speak English, and why they're important to native speakers, why we use them. There are many reasons idioms are important to learn. I'll just here quickly go through some of them. Firstly, as I said, they have a lot of information inside, so a small phrase can mean a lot. And so what this means is we use it a lot at work. We use these a lot at work because they're very efficient. They say many things, or they say something in a very clear, obvious way, and they're very powerful phrases. So they're very, very common in work. So in meetings, in emails, in telephone conversations at work with native speakers, we use them a lot. And they work like a secret little code for native speakers. People who learn English, they don't often learn these phrases. So if you are on the outside of the group and you don't know idioms, then there's a whole area of English and communication of native speakers that you don't understand. And so it's our little secret code. If you're a native speaker, you know all of them or most of them, and it's a very sort of a group way of communicating. And also they're very important to learn to use if you want to get a good score in an exam. You get a lot of points for using idioms in exam. They're like advanced vocabulary, so you get lots of points if you use idioms in the correct way to talk about your life and the things that you do, or in an exam, in a speaking or writing exam. When you have the chance, try to use idioms and you will get much, much better scores. And so the way you learn to use idioms in things like writing exams or speaking exams is go outside into your world and learn to use these idioms in your world. And then when you're in an exam, you will find it easier to use them about your world. And I will show you with the Van Gogh painting, and we'll go to the cafe and I'll show you how to use these idioms in a real life situation. So let's get started with the first 4 idioms. Oh, I should also say, all of these idioms that we're using for this video series, this deep dive on idioms, they're from my books, An Ocean of English Idioms. They're 3 books, each with 200 idioms listed alphabetically. Each idiom has 3 clear examples we'll see in these videos, and they're available on Amazon. So I said they're listed alphabetically, so we'll start with A. And the first one we're going to look at is acid test. So an acid test is something that shows the value of something or someone, or it's an opportunity to see something in its pure form, in its basic form. So if we look at some examples, living in a wild forest for 6 months is an acid test of your character. So what that means is spending a lot of time on your own in the wilderness is a good way to test your character. The real acid test of success is a company's profit margin. When you take away all the things that aren't important, the really important thing for a company is profit. And the acid test of their marriage will be when they have children. So what really tests a relationship, a marriage, is when you put children into the marriage. And that will really test if people love each other, if they are strong, if they are motivated to work together. It's a real test to have children. The next idiom we're going to look at is an act of God. So an act of God is something like an earthquake or a tornado, a natural disaster, something that cannot be controlled. And if we look at the examples, many insurance companies do not insure against acts of God. So if there's a terrible storm, you need special insurance for your house, so that the insurance company will pay for a natural disaster like flood or a tornado. Second example, the tornado ripped across the area like an act of God. The tornado was very strong, very powerful, and it worked like a god destroying the land. And the third example, you can't plan for a disaster, they are acts of God. So they're not something that you can plan for because you don't know what they will be, where they will happen, how bad they will be, and it's very difficult to plan in advance. The third idiom is ahead of the game. So you're ahead of the game if you have an advantage over your competitor in an activity where you're trying to do better than other people, where it's a competition, so business, school, sports, things like this. It means where you know more, you're better prepared, or you're just more skillful, and so you have a big advantage over the other people who are trying to win. So if we look at some examples, he was always ahead of the game at work. He followed the new trends very carefully. He stayed in front of people by always learning the new things that were happening in the business. The second example, technology companies have to stay ahead of the game to make sure they are successful in the future. In technology, it's very important research and innovation and development, and the way to stay at the front is to look ahead all the time, and it's really important for them to stay innovating so they can stay at the front. And the third one, he was ahead of the game when it came to the negotiations. So what this means is he had maybe some extra information that gave him an advantage, or he was in a better position to be successful in the negotiations. And the fourth idiom for today is all hell breaks loose. So you can use this phrase, all hell breaks loose, if a situation suddenly becomes violent or completely crazy, chaotic, something very unexpected happens. And if we look at the examples, after they discussed the agreement, all hell broke loose when he changed his mind. The people in the meeting became very angry. So someone changed their mind after agreeing something, and then everything went crazy. People argued, the atmosphere changed in the meeting. The second example in the Quentin Tarantino film From Dusk Till Dawn, all hell breaks loose when the vampires arrive. So if you've seen this film, it's like two different films put together. There's a travel film where they're driving across America, and then suddenly they go to a bar and vampires arrive and the film goes completely crazy. And the third example, if racism is allowed in schools, all hell will break loose when they grow up. So the idea here is if you allow very, very bad behavior in schools, when these children become adults, they will behave even worse. Their behavior will be completely crazy. Now let's go to the Van Gogh painting, to the cafe, and I'll show you how to use these idioms in your world. So welcome back to the cafe. We'll sit down, get a coffee, and we'll see what the world shows us and find ways to use these 4 idioms. Hi, yes, I'll have a coffee, please. Okay, so let's start with the first one, acid test. So we said an acid test is something that tests somebody or shows the true value of something or someone, and it's an opportunity to see something in its pure, in its true form. I could say, for example, I painted lots of backgrounds for my channel, but copying a Van Gogh was the real acid test. And what I mean by that is it's different to paint the Yosemite or Stonehenge. They're much, much easier to paint than copying this Van Gogh. And this took me many, many, many more hours to paint. And it was a big test. Or I could say the acid test of success following my channel is if you go outside and use these phrases in your world. And so what I mean by that is this is the thing in its true form, in its pure form. If you do this, if you go outside and you practice these phrases, my channel will work for you. If you don't try, then my channel won't work for you. If I think about the man riding with the horse and the carriage, I could say he's working. I could say the acid test of his job is, can he control the horse? Like, can he keep the horse under control, keep him calm and safe? That's the really important part of his job. Now if we look at act of God, so remember, an act of God is like a natural disaster, a tornado, earthquake, hurricane, a volcano, something like this, something that cannot be controlled. So for example, we can see lots of stars in the sky, it's a clear night, it's not going to rain, and I could say, unless there's an act of God, it's going to be a lovely evening. Or we would need an act of God for it to snow tonight. And what I mean there is it's a warm summer evening, there's no clouds in the sky, it's impossible for it to snow tonight. There's no chance. And so it would take something very unexpected, like an act of God. And if we look at ahead of the game, so this is where you have an advantage over somebody in a competition, like business, school, sports, etc. And so I could say, this waiter is always ahead of the game. He remembers everybody's drinks. He always remembers what people order, and so he can remember next time what they want. It gives him an advantage. He has a very good memory. And the last idiom, all hell breaks loose. So I could say, if the waiter suddenly drops a tray full of glasses, all hell breaks loose. It suddenly becomes very noisy and chaotic and crazy. Or again, talking about the horse, if the horse suddenly breaks free from the carriage and runs down the street, all hell would break loose. You know, a calm, very normal situation suddenly changes. So go outside, try to feel these idioms in your world, and it will help you a lot to learn to be able to use these when you're speaking in a meeting or in an exam. So the idea now is you go outside your house or you watch a walking tour on YouTube and you take a piece of card with these 4 phrases, you sit in a cafe or in a park and you find ways to use these 4 phrases. Find a way in your world to to feel what it's like to need this phrase. You see a situation, you think, yes, it suddenly changed, everything became crazy, all hell broke loose. Here we are, just another typical English summer day. Just before I go, it's just me doing everything here at Blue Ocean English. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to see more, please don't forget to leave a comment. Maybe you have an idea for a video or a nice background picture that you'd like to see, or share this video with a friend. The best way for you to say thank you is to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and check out my merchandise, all the nice things you can buy, t-shirts, hats. You can also check out our great books on Amazon. There's 3 phrasal verb books, An Ocean of English phrasal verbs, each book with 200 examples, a lovely picture, and 3 clear examples of how we use each phrase. And then 3 books for idioms. They're called An Ocean of English Idioms. Also 3 books with 600 idioms, 200 in each book, all with a picture and 3 clear examples of how we use each idiom. Thank you very much for watching, and wherever you are, try to feel English today.
Sometimes I feel like throwing my hands up in the